All right, buying Gold Coast deep dive series where we unpack some of the really big topics, I guess, on the Gold Coast. Go a little bit more specific. Feedback's been amazing with our deep dive series. So if you haven't listened to any of them so far, go back, listen to them. There's some really cool topics where we break down different pockets on the Gold Coast, price points, styles of property, behavior of buyers, which is kind of leads me into today's chat. We've got an expert actually on a market and segment of the market on the Gold Coast that, I don't know, there's some really cool stats actually in the last 10 years. It's been over 100% growth, close to 113%. And this is I'd call it like Central Gold Coast, kind of that Sorrento bundle, Isle of Capri, just north of kind of Mermaid Waters. It's starting to really make a name for itself. And I've got an actual, not only a pro, one of our key buyers agents at the Srama Group, Jackie Forrester, in the building, but she's also local in the area too.
I am a 10-year resident.
10 years as well, yeah. So you would have seen the real gentrification happen.
Oh, definitely. There's been a lot of change. That pocket.
Well, Jackie, first of all, thanks for popping in.
Thank you.
I'm really keen to unpack that area. I think the angle I wanted to go down today, Jackie, like we spoke off air, was just kind of like giving, I guess, Gold Coast buyers a sense of why, number one. But then number two, you've got some really interesting, and I guess that's why you're an expert in the area, on like the actual buyer segmentation in those markets, the similarities between the suburbs and what they're looking for. And then we're even going to go as deep as like breaking down certain price points within those markets.
Definitely.
And the purpose of today is really to highlight, I guess, that's how specific you kind of, if you want to buy well on the Gold Coast, you got to kind of know those things. So I guess the first thing, Jackie, being a resident, I'm curious because I live on the other end of the coast. I'm down the southern end. That central sort of, there's a lot of lifestyle factors. What is it for you that drawn you there 10 years ago?
10 years ago, look, it is so central. You walk to the end of the street, you're on Bermuda Street. You can turn right, you're into Southport, across to Isle of Capri, you're straight into the beach, which is amazing.
True.
Less than 5 minutes.
True.
You've got all of water canals throughout that pocket, and schools. That was a huge factor for us.
Yeah,
in moving into
having
the
kids
area.
in the
Yeah.
What school did they?
Surfers Paradise Primary on the Isle of Capri.
Yeah,
it's a great little
popular school. That one
super popular, great school.
Yeah.
And then we went to All Saints for our highest. Yeah,
beautiful.
So,
How good. What has been the biggest change you've seen in the last 10 years, just on a personal, you being a resident?
Look, there's been a lot. I would say the movement of the demographic of people coming into the area. So generally it was a sort of more affluent pocket throughout those areas. We're now seeing those younger families moving in, doing the renovations of those brick and tile homes. You're seeing a lot of change with that renovation-wise. And there's a lot of investors coming into the area as well.
No, it's been crazy, hey, the amount of, as I said, when I moved to the Gold Coast, I didn't even really hear of some of this Sorrento pocket, you know, because Sorrento, for anyone doesn't, it's kind of part of bundle, right? Same postcode, but that Isle of Capri as well has always had that tag of like, you know, Isle of Capri. It's like its own little suburb in itself.
They call it the island.
Yeah, the island, right? So, but you're exactly right. I'm just noticing more and more sales volumes happening in there because people are either getting not priced out, but seeking something different. Where I notice it's the bridge between nearly the north and the south.
Correct.
That's what I've noticed.
Yeah.
So like a lot of buyer criteria is, because our company works with so many Gold Coast buyers, is either kind of Mermaid South, and then you get a heap that are kind of that Southport North.
Correct.
And then you've got this pocket in the middle where the people in there are kind of multifaceted, where they kind of need both. They've got a kid at, similar to you, like they've got kids at certain private school, but then they also love Mermaid Beach and the cafes there. So they're kind of well connected.
Yeah, it's got a great lifestyle.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, now we've had 2 shopping centres in that precinct as well that have
really
redeveloped through there.
Is that the Villa Roma?
Villa Roma on Isle of Capri, which you can't get a park there. It's impossible.
But it's always buzzing,
It's so popular. Harris Farm there now.
Have they got a Harris Farm?
Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Harris Farm in West End, Brizzy.
Yeah.
I would sometimes go to Brizzy. Yeah. Is there one on the coast? I had no idea.
Yep.
There you go.
It's fantastic.
I'm writing that down as we speak.
And then the other little that they've just renovated is Riviera Plaza, which is at the end of Campbell Street.
Oh, yes. In
Which
Surrey.
is amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, they've got Bar Leo there now, which is great. So many locals having a glass of wine in the afternoons, little tapas.
It needed a little revamp, that little
did.
shop
It
there.
looks
Hey,
great.
yeah, it looks really, really good.
Yeah.
And even at that intersection there, they've done a lot of work now. You're so right. You're connected to the west, east, north, and south. Hey, it's really, really good.
It's fantastic.
I think one place I wanted to touch on, Jackie, was I guess buyer behavior within those markets. I think buyer behavior is so interesting because this is going to add a lot of value to the listeners who are potentially preparing to buy in these pockets in 2025. It'd be cool to give them an insight on what the buyers are doing and an activity.
Yeah.
What are you sensing being an expert in that kind of pocket?
There's a few different, we'll go price points
Yep.
probably to start off with in
Yep.
what's sort of happening in that sub 2 mil mark. There is great movement in there. It's very
Flying.
Flying. Very, very strong buying
Yeah,
in those
I
pockets.
agree.
So the people that are looking at those are the young families that have generally had a house previously or sold an apartment or had an investment property that are looking to move into a family home. Some of those are renovators that they're looking at renovating and adding value to. And a lot of investors are looking in that market as well, the sub 2, as well as downsizers. So people moving out of those waterfront big mansion homes and looking at being on a single level, so brick and tile in that area as well. Moving into the higher market and looking at the 5 mil market, that's been moving quite strongly
Hasn't it?
as well.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm shocked. Like people think like not many people have over 5 million to spend, right? But what I've noticed with that pocket of the Gold Coast, that's kind of where they kind of play or where they kind of look in. I know a lot of big sales. If you look at historically Gold Coast last 12 to 24 month sales above 5 million, a lot are in that Isle of Capri, isn't it?
Definitely.
Close to there, yeah.
And there's a lot of locals purchasing those. It's not, we all sort of look, it's interstate or it's international. A lot of it is local. So, I mean, recently there was a sale in Rose Court. That was a buyer coming out of Broadbeach Waters moving into the Sorrento market.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that whole pocket, Mermaid Waters, Broadbeach Waters, going into Sorrento Bundle, same buyer.
Yeah, true.
Really.
Yeah.
It's a very, very similar buyer.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know what your thoughts are, that kind of, so key takeaway there, sub 2 flying, which it is, I agree 100%. Post 5 mil owner ox flying because
Correct. Yeah.
there's not much available stock. And plus they're picky at that, which they should be, right?
Definitely.
If you're spending 5 mil plus, you deserve to be picky, right?
Yes.
The stock's just not there at the moment. The demand is there, but the stock's just not there. So they're flying. But that 3 to 5, I don't know what you're seeing there. What's your take on that sort of
Look, it is a
mid-range
little
market?
bit stagnant.
Yeah.
I must say in that in that range. One, I think it's lack of stock would probably be a factor as well.
Yeah.
And then outside of that, I just don't think the buyer demand is there for it. That might be the case.
Yeah. And what I think with those price points, sometimes when I unpack it too, when I see the data, it's nearly like, I don't know, because me and you have both worked with so many people in those price points, right? Those locations. It's like you're not at knockdown level. So you're above the 2 mil, right? But you don't have enough for 5 mil. So you can't get all the bells and whistles at that top end finish. So you're kind of in the grey area where you might have a property that's been, I always say it's just been cosmetically cleaned up. And if you've got 2.5 to 3, you're expecting a little bit more.
You're wanting a little bit more
Yeah,
bang for your buck.
bang for your buck. Also, what the biggest thing I've seen as well, Jackie, is like, and this will help some buyers out there, is like Waterfront is becoming more and more in demand. And it is becoming very, like, I remember you could get on water in those pockets at like one low to mid ones and mid ones, and that's just unheard of now, right? So
It's very true.
Yeah.
There are a few that have happened in the past 12 months that, but total renovators, nearly
like
knockdowns.
nearly knockdowns, yeah.
To that point. So one in Balmoral sold for 1.6.
True.
South facing.
Yeah.
that would probably be a knockdown.
Mm.
But, then there's those renovators that love that as well. Argyle, there was one through there. That was 1.7.
Yeah.
And that was tight. I think there was 6 registered bidders on the day.
Yeah.
For that.
High,
so that was like the Flintstone house.
Yeah.
That one there.
Yeah.
Deceased estate. That was quite
Yeah.
interesting auction there. But outside of that, very difficult. Yeah.
Tough. It's getting
unless
tougher,
you're going
eh?
onto a dry block.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So dry blocks, there's certain pockets within the pockets, as we always discuss.
Yeah.
Alloa Street, Coogene Street, you can sort of look into those areas that are still Sorrento.
Yeah.
You can get into those for 1.3.
For a dry block. Yeah.
Dry block
Yeah.
there.
Entry level. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It's good to know, right? If you sort of hunting, if you want to just get in the stepping stone, right, in those pockets. Yeah, I'm just really surprised, hey, with the waterfront market, how quick it's just gone bang, bang, and like as you said, it's going to be very hard. I think anything with a 1 in front soon, which sounds crazy,
It's
right?
near impossible.
Yeah.
Near impossible.
Yeah.
In all of those pockets.
Yeah.
Broadbeach Waters, Mermaid, right
Tough.
through Isla Capri.
Yeah.
No, there's just no.
Yeah. And we'll talk around this, and it's a topic I've got for a podcast coming soon, is like how buyers are always chasing the tail, especially in hot markets like that central Gold Coast waterfront market. They're quantifying value on property that sold and transacted maybe 3 to 6 months ago. So in their head, they're kind of like, well, that's still out there. But me and you both know, like, you kind of got to be nearly 90 days ahead of the market to kind of understand where it's at. Otherwise, you're just going to continually chase the tail always. So that's probably a big tip there for buyers. Look in those areas, especially if you're wanting on water, is just know supply and demand. A lot of people want to be on water in those pockets, but there's barely any available, right? So having a look at that. I like what you said around dry blocks is an option too if you're still looking for maybe some capital growth but want that lifestyle but don't have 2.5 to 3 just yet. You can still get into some dry blocks, things like that.
And those key pockets, definitely.
Yeah, key pockets. What, is there any kind of pockets in particular that you feel Gold Coast buyers, maybe in 2025, they're getting geared up? Like, is there any pockets you sort of think like, well, that's still a little bit undervalued or it's moving quickly now?
I would have to go back to waterfronts. If you can get something for a waterfront in Sorrento, Broadbeach Waters for those low 2s, I think you're definitely on good money. You really are. Some of those areas in Broadbeach Waters on the opposite side of of Bermuda Street.
Yes.
Yeah, sort of running through there. Andrew, Sarah. I think there's some great buying in those areas.
Yep.
Where in the world can you buy 10 minutes away from the beach that you're still on it, close to Main River?
I agree. Hey, yeah. The ones just west of Bermuda and that. Yeah, I agree.
I think that's an amazing little pocket.
You're
in
right.
There. They hardly come up.
Yeah.
But when they do, I would definitely be looking at them.
You're actually so true. I remember we secured one off market for someone on I think it was Alaska Ave, and down near Sophie and that, and we got that in the off market. It was like 5 bedroom, 3 bath, like pool, like the entertainer delight, right? In the kind of around the 2, it was fully off market. That thing's probably 2.6 now, and this was only like 12 months ago. Yeah. So it's just you're exactly right. I think spotting where those opportunities lie. Yeah. And even a little one as well, a lot of people are finding like that whole lanes, you know what the lanes are? Yeah, and that Mermaid, that's very interconnected between that bundle section and Mermaid. I think that's going to raise a lot of like interest into that whole pocket as well.
I think so too. I mean, especially the infrastructure that's going in there, medical centres, especially a lot of the downsizers in that area. Definitely walk across to Q Centre now from that bridge they've just put in there.
That's right. They got the walking bridge now. Yeah. Finally.
You don't
yeah.
go anywhere.
Yeah. And then what about in terms of, this is probably going to lead to the last few questions, but I'm really curious what you're thinking 2025 brings those pockets. Like, is there any predictions you think for that kind of central Gold Coast?
I think it's going to just slowly keep creeping the way it has been,
Yeah.
to be honest. I still think supply and demand is going to be a big issue leading into 2025. It's going to have that, get in, sort of look for what you are after, have a very strong criteria of what you're after, and be ready to pounce if you do see what you like.
Yeah. That's really good feedback. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'd be nearly the key tip there for Gold Coast buyers would be, I guess, spend the time kind of knowing what you want, like refining your criteria
Definitely
and whatnot.
refining.
So then that way, when an opportunity comes up, you could. I always say, search slow, but then act fast.
Correct.
Kind of.
Very much so. And especially in those areas, because we're seeing a lot of downsizes as well. People know those pockets and know those areas and have lived there for a long period of time. So they're wanting to look at downsizing. So they are ready to go, especially if they have sold previously. So the market is going to move quite quickly for when things do come up, but there's going to be low stock.
Yes. Low. So yeah. And I can see that for the next at least 12 to 24
I do too.
months. And it is what it is, right? It's tightly held.
It is very
which is
tightly held.
Gives confidence, right, as well. And lastly, like you were just saying before, it just come to me then, like talking around young families and whatnot. It, obviously I know you worked recently with like, a family, doctors, time poor. They were looking for like 12
Super
months.
time poor.
They were the epitome of what I was just saying around like chasing the tail,
Yes.
like consistently missing out on things because they were looking at past data and whatnot. Lack of stock was a huge one too. Like they just couldn't find the right family home. They just got a little boy now, things like that. So tell us a bit on that. It was an off-market one, wasn't it? It was an absolute banger in that Sorrento.
It was
Sorrento pocket.
Yeah, central Sorrento, dry block there, new build. It's about 18 months old, the property, which was amazing. It's exactly what they were after. They didn't want any maintenance to have to work on the property throughout, weekends or gardening and whatnot. They were really looking for something that they could have a lifestyle around as well. So it was around that they could actually meet their friends, so they could go out with the time that they had. They wanted to be able to have great access to schools. So they've booked their little boy into TSS. So he'll have friends in the street. Already there's TSS boys in that street, which is amazing. How we sort of unfolded that, it was really looking at our connections with the local agents.
Yeah, I was going to say, tips to buyers, like if they're not using a buyer's agent, but like how do they get access? Because obviously that property only, because we can't give, full, but it was under 2.5 million, right?
Correct.
Where for a new build, pretty much in those pockets, it's buying well, but there was a few circumstances that made that happen, which is great. But like, how does the average buyer get access in those tightly held pockets to maybe some property that is less competitive and they're not in a bidding war, right? Like what was the strategy of that? Yeah.
They don't. Our clients were actually shocked how many properties we got through in a very short period of time, and especially off markets or properties that were pre-market. So it's us working with agents, and there's a lot of agents in those pockets now.
There is, yeah.
Previously, there used to be a key agent or two key agents that worked an area. Now we're seeing a lot more agents from out of area working in those central pockets. So it's a matter of being able to have that really strong communication with all agents. I mean, as you know, Matt, we speak to 10, 15, 20 agents a week.
Yep.
And we know what's coming up. So, I mean, at the moment, we know what's coming up in 9 weeks' time to market.
So you kind of always got the front foot kind of thing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We can get our clients through that property prior to any competition.
Yep. I always put it, there's a reactive buyer and there's a proactive buyer.
Yes.
And sometimes I think on the Gold Coast, it's more around creating opportunities rather than waiting for opportunities. And I think that's the difference, right, at the end of the day. And I just wanted to highlight, I guess, because people see what, we do and things like that, and they don't understand. Like, it's full time. Like, you find these. They don't just come to us magically. No. So some of those key pockets, I think the hot ones where I think in the 2025, the supply and demand is going to still be imbalanced. You just got to think differently, think creatively. So hopefully that gives some I guess, tips there to any buyers looking to enter that. Yeah, be proactive rather than reactive and just
Or wait for the
just
market.
waiting. Yeah, or just wait
Wait for the market.
wait for the market to
Yeah.
drop, which is
That's a
the
horrible
worst
strategy.
strategy I've ever heard. If you're a buyer saying I'm just waiting for the market to drop, don't do it. It's a bad strategy.
Yeah, for 10-year data.
It's the-
10 years of data says no.
It's funny, hey. And then lastly, Jackie, here's a fun. I want to know because I'm actually curious. I didn't even know Harris Farm. I'm up there this weekend. Oh, if you don't know Harris Farm, it's so good. If you like all your clean ingredients and
It's
that,
amazing.
yeah, they pump in Brisbane, and I'm so stoked. There's one here. That's what I need, a local area like you. Give me some. All right, give us your coffee. I know you're a food. You love your food. I always turn to you when I'm looking for a new restaurant. Give us your favorite coffee, kind of brekkie cafe, and maybe your favorite restaurant kind of dining experience.
Okay. Duck's Nuts at the
Duck's
Sorrento
Nuts.
shops.
Yeah. What sort
Great
of
coffee.
coffee?
Yep.
Oh yes,
Merlot coffee
yes,
there,
yeah. I know the one.
lineup.
Yep.
It's, they're
Always
great.
busy, eh?
Always busy, and it's just a great little institutional little place in there.
Yeah.
Institution, sorry. There, I love Edgewater. We go there quite often at
Yes.
Isla Capri.
Yes.
There on the water,
Yeah.
amazing food. That's a great one
Yeah.
as well for my go-to dining.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Harris Farm
Yeah.
shopping.
Is that what you do? Yeah.
That's my triangle.
Yeah. The little triangle. Hey, yeah. Because
Yeah.
there's lots for the kids too. What do the kids get up to in the in the pockets?
There's some great parks,
Yeah.
which is fantastic through there. Some dog parks, which is great. I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of people have their dogs and their animals there at
Yeah.
Sorrento. What else? There's the ice skating.
Is there?
Yeah, there's an ice skating rink.
Oh, bundle.
in
Yeah.
Bundle,
That's right.
which is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yep.
The other great thing is the turf club.
Yeah.
The turf club.
True.
They have
Yeah.
the markets at Hodder, which is
Yeah. Oh,
sensational.
Hodder too. Yeah.
Hodder is
You sort of forget, all
amazing.
these things. Yeah. You're exactly right.
Yeah,
There
Sunday
is a lot there.
markets there is just incredible.
Yeah.
The art gallery at
Yeah.
Hodder is
Yeah.
fantastic. Upstairs, the exhibitions bar
Yeah.
is fantastic.
Spoken like a true local, eh? Like you're selling the dream to me. Maybe I've got to make the move, get a little property in
could help
Central
you out,
Gold.
mate.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate your insight, Jackie. I think the key, I guess, if I was to unpack 3 things to take away, number one is that I guess if you are looking in those pockets, Waterfront is good opportunity, like because it is raising, but understand that it's limited supply.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's number one. Number 2 is whether dry block or waterfront block, I think spend some time understanding what it is you want and need as a family, individual, couple, because if you can search slow with a refined criteria, but then act fast, I think that's going to put you ahead of like so many people.
Yeah.
So many. And I think number 3 is probably my favorite is like you said, there are opportunities that are less competitive, like off market, but they don't mystically just fall on the lap. You have to actually be proactive rather than reactive. So I don't know. I just wrote down a heap of notes here because I don't know. I think that's going to translate into a lot of buyer kind of help throughout 2025. And it's been great picking your brain, Jackie.
Yeah, thanks.
All
Matt.
things Central Gold Coast, some key tips in there, buy segments, price point, and yeah, let's watch this space, hey? Let's see what happens. Let's strap on in.
Oh, Sorrento's
It's going to be
the go,
exciting.
yes.
Yeah. No, thanks, Jackie. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Matt.